Now, day 2 of the confirmation hearings of Judge Stephen Breyer. He's the man President Clinton has chosen to replace Justice Harry Blackmun on the U.S. Supreme Court. The Senate Judiciary Committee questioned Judge Breyer again today. Kwame Holman reports.
There are only a few minutes left on this vote, which I am about to make. I thank Senator Specter, Pennsylvania.
Early votes on the Senate floor kept all but one member of the Judiciary Committee away from Judge Breyer's confirmation hearing when it opened this morning. Republican Arlen Specter of Pennsylvania sat alone as he questioned the Supreme Court nominee on a number of issues, including Breyer's large holdings in a Lloyd's of London investment group that insures companies against pollution claims. Breyer has been criticized for not removing himself from cases involving toxic waste because of his investments.
As I understand the facts, and I'd like you to confirm them, that you had not handled any cases involving Lloyd's of London, and you had not been involved in any cases involving asbestos liability, but that the case of U.S. for Atati and Goss did potentially touch one of the syndicates, Merit 418, which involved the underwriting of toxic waste cleanup.
I, of course, disclose all my investments, including my investment in Lloyd's. And I have 3 screening systems, now 4, to make certain that I never sit on a case in which any firm in which I have an investment, including Lloyd's, including that syndicate, including any part of Lloyd's, is a party in that case. There's a label called pollution case, and it is true that Lloyd's and these syndicates and any insurance company can be involved in any insurance anywhere, and there always can be similarity of label. But I saw no direct proximate connection, let alone a substantial connection, between the holding in that case and my own pocketbook. I can tell you it's something that I'm very, very sensitive to, and that I will remain sensitive to. And my reasons are personal, because what I really have after my own family is my integrity. And my reasons are institutional, because it's terribly important that the public understand and respect the integrity of the judicial system.
On issues related directly to the courts, Specter questioned Breyer about the death penalty.
This is an area where I think we see a marked erosion of legislative authority by what the Supreme Court has done.
First, I think it's fair that I certainly agree, and I think the vast majority of people would agree, that judges should not legislate. That's your job. It's not the job of a judge. Second, looking at the death penalty, I've said, and I think this is the case, that it is settled law that applying the death penalty in some circumstances does not violate the cruel and unusual punishment clause. Third,
well, maybe I just interrupt you for one quick point. Do I understand you to say that in some circumstances you think the death penalty can be constitutionally imposed?
I think that's settled law.
So that you would reject the Marshall and Brennan view that it's on its face violative of the Eighth Amendment?
What I've said, in my opinion, that is settled law.
Thank you.
But William Cohen of Maine wanted Breyer to go further and asked about his personal views on the death penalty.
You want my personal view?
I want your personal judgment,
and
not whether it's settled or not, but what you believe.
The reason that I hesitate to say what I think as a person as opposed to a judge is because down that road are a whole host of subjective beliefs, many of which I would try to abstract from. Because as you've had and I've had from Learned Hand and other great judges, there's some to both sides of this. I was pointing out those things where he says, try to be dispassionate. And you must remember that the law that you're trying to find as a judge, in your own mind, think that what you found, you must be satisfied that other people would find the same. Not every other person, but lots of other people. Where the subjective belief may come in, and that happens sometimes where it's either relevant to the law or it isn't. If it's relevant to the law, decide it as a matter of law. If you know it's not relevant to the law, then the only time in which it enters is if you think the law is one way, and you think your own subjective belief is the other way, and you feel that you cannot follow what you believe the law to be because of your subjective belief, then don't try. Then don't try. You can remove yourself from the case.
There were some questions Breyer tried to dismiss with short answers, like Republican Hank Brown's question alluding to President Clinton's possible response to the sexual harassment charge brought against him.
My question, I guess, is what do you consider the constitutional basis for presidential immunity? Do you see an immunity for the president that extends beyond his official acts?
That I don't know.
Do you see a basis in the Constitution for the president to order a federal judge to dismiss a private suit that might be filed against him? Not if the suit's not related to his official acts.
Those are kinds of questions that have never come before me. If they ever came, I'd read the briefs, consider the arguments, and think about them and try to get the correct decision.
But some of the questions were comparatively easy. For instance, what did Breyer consider the Supreme Court's most important decision?
I mean, the first is Brown versus Board. And why that's so easy is because, to me, it was clear. I mean, you know, here's the promise in this document, and the promise is the country will be fair. And they wrote it sometime in the last part of the in the 19th century, and then it wasn't done. How shocking. How shocking. To write a promise like that into the Constitution and it isn't done. And it seems to me that Brown was a decision of courage in a sense, but the courage was do what the law says. Read it. That's what it says, we're going to do it. And I think the judges, but everyone else involved in that, good. They were behaving like judges, and they were following the law.
Judge Breyer returns for a third and probably final day of testimony tomorrow.